Well, I've been an artist my whole life. When you're diving into a project of this magnitude, especially a building that's over 130 years old, you're going to find surprises.
As conservators, we're concerned with getting to the truth. The artist intended us to see something over 100 years ago that was completely obliterated.
Licking County is blessed to have a museum that is also a courtroom.
We've got layers of story about what it means to be an American, what it means to be an Ohioan.
The courthouse has been a beacon for everybody who lives here.
It's something to behold.
This building is iconic. It's one of a handful of beautiful 19th century courthouses around Ohio. This courthouse was a third courthouse on this downtown Newark site, built 1876 to 1878. And it's been a statement building since then. It was a statement building for the veterans of the Civil War who came back to reminisce about their victory. It's a place where people have gathered after World War I and World War II to celebrate the end of conflict. Almost any major event in Licking County through the years has been celebrated on the square in downtown Newark and around this courthouse. If you think about it, the Licking County Courthouse was built in the 19th century. There was only one judge at the time, and that judge handled all the cases, and they were held right here behind me in the West Courtroom. The West Courtroom is ornate. At the time when courtrooms were being built post-Civil War, the imagery was very important. There was a biblical flavor to it, a sense of justice. The scales of justice are represented in the room. It is a room that really speaks to the history of our American judicial system, and it's not just a sterile room. It is possibly the largest collection of beautiful 19th century artwork in Licking County.
Attorneys, no matter where they were from, knew it was a good place to try a case, a place they look forward to working in. It makes you feel the majesty of the law when you come through there and gives you some respect for the justice that needs to occur, and I think does occur when that happens.
The Licking County Commissioners, since I've been a commissioner, we've been talking about both restoration of the exterior and interior of this courthouse. We had to wait until we had the funds to do it. But the particular restoration of the West Courtroom and the artwork and the ambiance of the room has been envisioned for about a decade.
100 years ago, people were smoking cigars and cigarettes in the courtroom, and the ceiling and the paintings, the statues, they were all mistreated.
This is the final phase of the restoration of the 1876 courthouse. We wanted to make sure that the building was solid, that the new windows were in place, that the roof was in place, and everything was solid and no leaking or anything like that before we would invest in the beautiful artwork and the ambiance of the West Courtroom. We went into the open market and selected Robertson Construction Services of Licking County, based in Heath, Ohio, and they have done us proud. They've gone out into the market, and Conrad Schmidt out of Wisconsin, maybe the premier restoration group in the country, and they brought with them Parma, which is an artistic restoration group out of the Chicago area who they work with a good bit. And this has been the team, along with some other subcontractors, that are making this project happen.
I'm going through checking the edges. This project here is probably one of the most satisfying that we've done.
The challenges that companies faced in doing this project, it simply wasn't easy. We had to literally put the court out of business in this room for about 9 months and move the common pleas court function to another room that we had in the county so that 3 levels of expensive scaffolding could be erected to work on the walls and the very tall ceiling in there, and making sure that that load could be supported by the floor.
Walking in, the first thing we do is just kind of assess the damage. We do a walk the scaffolding, kind of see the bad areas, what's going to be more involved, what's going to take to get it to where it needs to be.
I guess the most unique challenge was that before we got to even see the murals, nobody could see the murals. They were completely blackened by coal dust, fossil fuels for over a century. They had been accumulating these layers of grime. In the 1970s, there was a lot of plaster damage on the ceiling. Some plaster workers cut out part of the original canvas. They couldn't even see what was there. A little later on, some well-meaning artists came in and they tried to piece back what they thought the image might look like. What they thought the image looked like and what it was actually trying to depict were very different. The only thing we had to go by was an arm, a leg, and the bottom of someone's foot. And then we had to fill in the rest. We had to invent content that we had no reference of whatsoever.
Based on the exposures that we did in the past, we were able to discover some of the colors that were in existence years and years ago.
Every day that we would do a little bit of cleaning was like almost Christmas morning to us, because we got to see a little bit of color, a little bit more form, a little more of the story. We could see some very surprising things. One of those things was we discovered a signature. A little more research, we found out that this was a 19th century artist by the name of Adele Bassi, a woman, which was very unique for the time. There were not very many, if any, female muralists who would have been commissioned on such a large project as this. We're pretty confident that she did not paint them on site, but painted them off-site at a studio and brought them here. People didn't really know when the murals on the ceiling were painted. They could have been painted in the 1870s. During cleaning, we discovered a strange object. We finally figured out that the murals could not have been painted in the 1870s because of the inclusion of this device, which was painted by the artist. And that's Marconi's radio, which was invented in 1896 or 1897, somewhere around there. So we think Adele Bassi painted these around 1900, which nobody would have guessed.
I think it's important to have open communication with the other trades and understand that, historically speaking, that's the first priority, is to keep that history. So we're all working together to create a cohesive project. We have Chicago Ornamental Plaster here. They have been doing a fantastic job doing some of the scagliola. Scagliola is a plaster with dyes mixed into it, and it kind of gives the impression that it's marble. It was done a lot about 100 years ago in place of marble, because marble was difficult to come by. Some of the other plaster repairs, for example, 3 corbels that were completely gone, so we made new molds and cast new architectural elements and put them in place. Can't even tell that they're there. That's a big part of what we do, is if you can't see what we did, then we did our job well.
I like to feel, along with my fellow county commissioners, that we have lived up to the expectation of our forefathers 150 years ago to take care of the beautiful building that they built to make a statement about the future of Licking County. Our idea was not just to dust it off, but to put it back just as beautiful, if not more beautiful, than it was 150 years ago.
It's always a little sad to see a project end, especially one as exciting as this. I think there are going to be more discoveries along the way once people start looking at these allegories, really, and interpreting what the artist intended us to think about. I think the people of Licking County will be in awe.
We welcome you to this, what I would call a red letter day, a significant event in the century-and-a-half history of this 1876 Licking County Courthouse.
It's been a long process to get to this day.
And I want to thank the commissioners, Judge Marceline, and the people of Licking County for taking such great care of this historic building and for allowing Conrad Schmidt Studios to be a part of the process.
I've been around the state, many different courtrooms. This courtroom is the best. I think it's a treasure, and it's something that I think the Licking County residents will honor and cherish for decades to come.
I think they've done a beautiful job with it, and it serves as an inspiration to what we can all do when we come together as a community and work together.
This place is great, and you all should be very proud because you have one of the most beautiful, if not most beautiful, county courthouse in the state of Ohio. This restoration, this rehabilitation, this courtroom is essential to the efforts to enforce justice in this county.
The age-old adage is that you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been.
You don't appreciate your history and have a sense of the people who gave so much and paid so much and worked so hard to build this, that if you don't do them justice, have you really done your job in terms of maintaining the beautiful architecture and the buildings that are part of the historical inventory in Licking County? I think people will be proud of the look. This is their iconic building in the center of Newark, county seat of Licking County, and I'm excited for them to see it, and I think that they will very much embrace what we've done here to preserve the memories.